Britain has become more woke, and over half of the population are in favour of higher taxes. Those are two of a number of findings from this year's British Social Attitude Survey from the National Centre for Social Research. Let's have a look, should we? The survey found the majority of Britain want the government to increase taxes and also spending. That's not what we're expecting tomorrow. For the first time, more people want the voting system to change, with a clear majority among Labour supporters. The survey also suggested that Britain is more politically polarised than ever before on whether Scotland should become an independent country. Also found woke attitudes are increasingly common in Britain, though so-called culture war issues continue to divide the nation. Interesting stuff. Let's get more, though, on Friday's so-called mini-budget, in which the government will outline their multi-billion-pound plan for the economy. Sir Ed Davey is here with me. Good morning.
Good
Always
morning.
great to see you. Thanks for joining us. So people want more higher taxes?
Well, I'm not sure if everybody does.
At least half.
What I'm really worried about is the government are going to cut taxes for large corporations, and things like bankers and banks will get the lion's share of that. They're refusing to put taxes up, which I do support, on oil and gas companies. Oil and gas companies making huge profits, tens of billions of pounds. And Liberal Democrats believe there should be a windfall tax on those. Taxes should go up on those oil and gas companies, and use that money to fund the support for struggling families and for small businesses. At the moment, the government's help for people is coming out of borrowing. And that's quite dangerous and risky. There's a danger that will put up interest rates even more. And so struggling families will be hit by higher energy prices, higher food prices, and higher mortgage rates. That is a real worry for people.
Higher energy prices? I thought they were going to be capped.
Well, I wish they were. Liberal Democrats called for a energy price cap to be frozen early this summer. The government are doing something, but they're actually allowing energy bills to go up by another £500 in October. So they went up by £700 in April. They're going up by another £500. That's not a freeze. That's an increase. And maybe £500 isn't a lot for Conservative MPs, but for their constituents, it's a huge amount of money.
But they are then going to freeze bills, aren't they, for 2 years, which handily falls almost to when the next election might be, some might say, if they were particularly being sceptical. But, you know, they are doing something, and it's going to cost a lot of money.
Well, they're not doing enough for struggling families because they're allowing energy bills to go up by another £500. And one of the reasons they're not able to do enough is because they're not taking the decision to tax the oil and gas companies on their tens of billions of pounds of unexpected profit. So I think the government don't have a good plan. Their economic plan seems non-existent.
They're trying to kickstart the economy. That's what they're trying to do. That's what's been explained to us.
Well, there's no plan for that. It's a lot of ideology, a lot of rhetoric, but not a serious plan to help struggling families and businesses. You know, you were talking to the gentleman from the hospitality sector. The government have failed the hospitality sector, and their current plan to help businesses on energy bills doesn't go far enough. It's only for 6 months. You know, businesses need to plan.
To be reviewed after 6 months, not just 6 months. They're going to look at it again after 6 months.
Yeah, but if you're a business employing people, wanting to investment, you need a degree of certainty and stability, and the government aren't providing that. One of the key things you need in a real economic plan, which Liberal Democrats are putting forward, is a long-term approach. And frankly, something that can last for a few months is not sufficient for businesses who are trying to employ people.
It looks as though, according to some, the recession has been fended off. So, I mean, we have to give Liz Truss credit for that, don't we?
I don't think Liz Truss gets any credit for it, or the Conservative Party. They have mismanaged our economy. They are actually threatening the future by having such a high level of borrowing to fund tax cuts for large companies and for the banks. That means they're threatening the stability of our economy, and interest rates will go up far higher as a result of that reckless approach on borrowing.
But she has said, I mean, I'm just looking at quotes from Liz Truss, she does say that she's admitted that her tax plans would, to start with, disproportionately help richer people. That's what she was saying. But she's doing that in order to get the economy to grow. Surely that's a good thing.
Well, if it were true, it would be good, but it's not true. She's putting forward a very ideological right-wing approach, which says that if you give lots of money to the wealthiest, it will trickle down to everyone else. That type of trickle-down economics has been tried before and it's failed. Britain is a very unequal...
President Reagan wouldn't agree with you on that, I don't think.
Well, I'm afraid America is a very unequal society and Britain is a very unequal society. And it's partly because Conservatives have put forward this proposal before and it's failed. Liberal Democrats are saying we want a fairer country and fairer taxes.
OK.
That's why we've argued for this windfall tax on the energy.
What else apart from that? Because that's not enough.
Well, we wouldn't proceed with this big corporation tax cut they're talking about. Most of that money, or a large slug of that money, goes to banks and to multinational companies. It doesn't actually help many small businesses. 1.4 million small businesses won't get any help at all from that corporation tax cut, yet they're the ones who are struggling the most. And Liberal Democrats are saying you've got to look after those small businesses, those small and medium-sized enterprises who are really the growth engine for our economy. If you want our economy to grow, Liberal Democrats would, first of all, back that small business sector. Secondly, we have a serious plan on energy prices, and that would include helping our industry to be more efficient with energy because that makes them more competitive internationally. We'd also insulate people's homes and move faster to renewables because that's the cheapest form of energy. That's a real plan for cutting prices, for making our economy more competitive and preparing ourselves for the future. The government, they don't really have a plan. It's ideology and it's been tried before and it's failed.
Yeah, but insulating people's homes is going to cost quite a lot of money. How do we pay for that?
Well, it would save money in the long term.
Yeah,
That's the
of course, but you have
point.
to pay for it to start with.
Well, you do, but there's that sort of investment to save, that investment to make ourselves more competitive.
And where will that money come from?
Is sensible. Yeah. Our criticism of the government's approach is they're borrowing to fund tax cuts for the better off and for bankers. That's not sustainable. Our approach, the Liberal Democrat approach, is sustainable. It's sustainable in terms of our environment, but it's sustainable in terms of finances. And I'm genuinely worried for our country, Kay. You know, I hoped that by getting rid of Boris Johnson and having a new start, the Conservatives would bring the country together, would start having a sensible economic plan for our country. Okay. But I'm afraid the reverse has happened. I think this looks even worse.